Fish sauce. It's that secret ingredient that makes so many Southeast Asian dishes taste absolutely amazing. Whether it's drizzled over Vietnamese pho, mixed into Thai papaya salad, or used in a savory stir-fry, fish sauce is the ultimate umami booster. By the way, what is your favorite way of using fish sauce? Comment below the video. I'm curious to know. Believe it or not, fish sauce isn't just a modern invention. It's been around for thousands of years. The ancient Romans had a similar version called garum, and in Asia, traditional fish sauce making methods have been passed down for generations. Today, we're going inside a real fish sauce factory to see exactly how tiny fish are transformed into this rich, savory liquid. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Step 1. The fish. Farming and harvesting. Fish sauce starts with one key ingredient: small, oily fish. The most common types used are anchovies, sardines, and mackerel, because they're packed with natural glutamates. In coastal regions, especially in countries like Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines, fishermen set out early in the morning to catch anchovies in large nets. These fish travel in massive schools, making them relatively easy to catch using traditional netting techniques. The key to high-quality fish sauce is freshness. As soon as the fish are pulled from the water, they're transferred to large baskets and immediately packed with ice to preserve their natural oils and prevent spoilage before they reach the factory. Not all fish sauce comes from wild-caught fish. Some producers use farm-raised anchovies bred in carefully controlled environments. These farms are designed to ensure a steady supply of fish while reducing overfishing in the wild. The fish are fed a carefully balanced diet to keep them healthy, and their environment is closely monitored to ensure sustainability and optimal growth. Once they reach the right size, they're harvested in a similar way to wild-caught fish, scooped up in nets, quickly sorted, and chilled for transport. Before heading to the factory, the fish go through a quick sorting process. Any unwanted fish or debris are removed. Only the best, freshest catches make the cut. The fish are then packed into crates or large containers filled with ice and directly shipped to fermentation facilities. Step number 2, the fermentation begins. Now that the fish have arrived at the factory, it's time for the most important step: fermentation. This is where all the deep, savory, umami-packed flavors develop, and trust me, it's a process like no other. The first step is mixing the fish with a lot of salt, usually around 3 parts fish to 1 part salt. This high salt ratio prevents spoilage while allowing natural enzymes to break down the fish slowly over time. The fish are packed in tightly, layer by layer, to minimize air exposure. Then the barrels are sealed and left to work their magic. Once packed, the fish naturally release their juices as they break down. The salt draws out moisture, while naturally occurring bacteria and enzymes start digesting the fish proteins, breaking them into amino acids, a key to that rich umami flavor. This process takes months, sometimes even years. The longer it ferments, the more complex and mellow the flavor becomes. Traditional fish sauce makers still use large wooden barrels, which allow some air to interact with the mixture, adding subtle depth to the flavor. But in modern factories, stainless steel vats are often used instead. These control temperature and humidity more precisely, ensuring consistency in large-scale production. Every few weeks, the fish sauce is stirred to help distribute the flavors evenly. In some traditional methods, weights are placed on top to squeeze out more liquid over time, concentrating the flavor even further. As the fish fully break down, a rich golden brown liquid begins to collect at the bottom. This is the first press fish sauce, also known as the good stuff. It's the highest quality, full of deep, complex flavors. The longer the fish sauce ages, the smoother and more aromatic it becomes. Some premium brands age their fish sauce for 2 to 3 years before it's ready. Step number 3, pressing and filtering. After months or even years of fermentation, the fish sauce is finally ready to be extracted. This is where we separate the liquid gold from the leftover fish solids. The very first liquid that comes out of the fermentation barrel is called first pressed fish sauce. This is the highest quality fish sauce, known for its deep amber color, rich aroma, and smooth, well-balanced umami flavor. But we're not done yet. Once the first pressed sauce is collected, the remaining fish and salt mixture still contains a lot of liquid. To get more fish sauce, workers add more salt water and press the solids to squeeze out every last drop. This second and third extraction results in a lighter, slightly less flavorful fish sauce, which is often blended with the first press to create different grades of fish sauce for the market. Now that we have our fish sauce, it's time to make it crystal clear. The raw liquid still contains small bits of fish and sediment, so it goes through a series of fine mesh filters to remove impurities. The result? A smooth, translucent, golden brown liquid that's packed with flavor. Some premium fish sauce producers take an extra step. They let the filtered sauce sit in the sun for a few weeks. This gentle heat naturally deepens the color and enhances the umami profile, giving the final product a richer taste. See the difference? The sun-aged version has a deeper color and an even smoother finish. Before it moves on to bottling, each batch is tested for flavor, saltiness, and aroma to make sure it meets the factory's quality standards. Step number 4, aging and quality control. Now that our fish sauce has been pressed and filtered, it's time to make sure it meets the highest quality standards before it reaches your kitchen. Let's take a look at how aging and quality control give fish sauce its signature flavor. Some premium fish sauces go through an additional aging process. The filtered liquid is transferred to sealed containers where it's left to sit for several months, or even up to a year. Why? Because aging allows the flavors to mellow and develop more depth, just like fine wine or aged cheese. Time brings out the best in fish sauce. But fish sauce isn't just about taste. It has to meet strict chemical standards too. Each batch is tested for the perfect balance of saltiness and protein content, which directly affects its umami strength. The best fish sauces have a high nitrogen level. This means they're packed with amino acids, which give them that rich, savory taste. The N number you see on some fish sauce bottles, like 40 degrees N or 30 degrees N, refers to the nitrogen content. The higher the number, the richer and more concentrated the flavor. And of course, the final test is the taste test. Trained specialists evaluate each batch for aroma, color, and flavor consistency. A high-quality fish sauce should have a strong yet pleasant aroma, a clear amber color, and a deep, well-balanced umami taste, not just pure saltiness. Once testing is complete, different batches of fish sauce may be blended to create the perfect balance of flavor, color, and aroma. Some producers even add a tiny bit of sugar to round out the taste. And just like that, after months or even years of careful processing, we have a perfectly aged, high-quality fish sauce ready for the world to enjoy. Step number 5, bottling and shipping. Now that our fish sauce is perfected, it's bottled up, labeled, and packed for shipment. From here, it travels to grocery stores and restaurants all over the world, ready to add that irresistible umami burst to your favorite dishes. And just like that, tiny fish have been transformed into one of the most essential ingredients in Asian cuisine. Whether you're making pad thai, dipping sauce, or even just seasoning a stir fry, fish sauce is a powerhouse ingredient. Next time you splash some into your cooking, you'll know exactly how it's made. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes food factory tours. And just in case you have missed some of the older episodes we have covered you, we have attached a special selection of past factory review episodes to this video. So stay with us and enjoy more fascinating food discoveries here with Factory Review. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode. Hey there, syrup lovers! Did you know that the maple syrup industry in North America produces around 3.5 million gallons of syrup every year? That's a lot of maple goodness. But here's the thing. Making that syrup is no easy feat. It takes a precise combination of nature, tradition, and technology to create that golden, sweet liquid we all know and love. So, how exactly is maple syrup made? Well, let's take a deep dive into the process. But before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more sweet content. Let's begin where all the magic starts, tapping the trees. In early spring, when the temperatures start to fluctuate between freezing nights and warm days, the sap in sugar maple trees begins to flow. But how do we get that sap out? Well, we need to tap the trees. Tapping is done by drilling a small hole in the tree trunk and inserting a metal spout called a tap. These taps are usually connected to buckets or modern tubing systems that run between trees to collect the sap. The sap is mostly water, with just a little bit of sugar in it, about 2 to 3%. And it takes a lot of sap to make just 1 gallon of syrup. In fact, it takes about 40 gallons of sap to make just 1 gallon of pure maple syrup. After the trees are tapped, the sap begins to flow. But how does it get from the trees to the sugar shack where the real magic happens? Well, nature does most of the work here. The freezing nights and warming days cause pressure changes inside the tree that make the sap rise up through the trunk and flow out of the tap. This process can last for a few weeks during the early spring when the conditions are just right. The sap flows best on days when the temperature is above freezing but the nights are still cold. This temperature fluctuation causes pressure to build up inside the tree, forcing the sap out. Once the sap has been collected, it's time to move it to the next stage, harvesting the sap. In a traditional maple syrup operation, this involves gathering buckets filled with sap and transporting them to a storage tank. In more modern systems, tubing is used to transport the sap directly to a central location. Once the sap is in the tank, it's ready for the next big step, concentrating. Fresh maple sap is mostly water and it takes a lot of sap to make syrup. So before we can start boiling, we need to concentrate that sap to save time and energy. Enter reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is a process where the sap is filtered through membranes that separate the water from the sugar. By pushing the sap through these special filters under pressure, we can remove a lot of water content before it even hits the evaporator. This makes the next step, evaporation, much faster and more energy efficient. This saves a lot of time and wood, which is good for the environment and for the syrup maker's bottom line. Now we're getting to the good stuff, evaporation. After reverse osmosis has done its job, we take the concentrated sap and boil it down in a giant evaporator. The evaporator is an industrial-sized pan that sits over a fire or a propane burner. The goal here is simple: get rid of as much water as possible until the sap becomes thick enough to be syrup. As the sap boils, it changes. The water evaporates and the syrup slowly starts to take shape, changing color and becoming more concentrated. This is a delicate process because we need to boil the sap to exactly the right consistency and temperature. The syrup is done when it reaches about 219 degrees Fahrenheit, 104 degrees Celsius. At that point, the sap has reached about 66% sugar content and the liquid is thick enough to be considered syrup. But boiling it to the right temperature isn't just about making syrup. It also brings out the flavor. That's where the Maillard reaction comes into play. This is a process that happens when sugars and amino acids in the sap react together under heat. It's what gives syrup its rich, complex flavor and its darker color. As the sap boils, the sugars in the sap break down and caramelize, creating those delicious caramel and butterscotch flavors we love. The longer the sap boils, the darker and richer the syrup becomes, which is why late-season syrup has that bold, robust flavor. So, next time you pour syrup over your pancakes, you can thank the Maillard reaction for all that deep, caramel goodness. After the syrup is ready, it's filtered one last time to remove any final impurities. And then, it's poured into bottles or jars. From here, it's ready to be labeled, packaged, and shipped out to stores all over the world. And that's it. From tree to table, the journey of maple syrup is a sweet one that requires precision, skill, and a little bit of magic from both nature and technology. If you bite into a scoop of plombier, you'll be hit with flavors so rich, creamy, and smooth that it practically melts on your tongue. This iconic Russian ice cream has been a favorite for generations. Even more impressive, a single factory can produce thousands of these treats in just 1 hour, with every batch made with care and precision. So, how does a simple mix of ingredients turn into such a beloved dessert? But first, a quick look at its origins. Though plombier is now a Russian staple, it actually began in France. In the 19th century, a French confectioner from Plombières-les-Bains created a dessert by blending fruits soaked in cherry liqueur with eggs and cream, then freezing it. This delightful treat eventually made its way to Russia, where it evolved into the plombier that we know today. In Russia, during the Soviet era, plombier became a must-have dessert. The Soviet government set strict standards, known as GOST, requiring plombier to be made with high fat content and no artificial additives. These rules ensured that every scoop was rich, creamy, and full of flavor, helping plombier become one of the country's most cherished treats. The process of making plombier starts with gathering the best ingredients. The main components include fresh milk, cream, sugar, eggs, and sometimes condensed milk. Factories typically source their milk and cream from local dairies that focus on quality and sustainability. The cream's high fat content is crucial because it gives plombier its rich and creamy texture. Sugar and condensed milk are added to sweeten the mixture and make it smooth, while eggs act as a natural emulsifier, helping to blend everything into a silky mix. Once these top quality ingredients are selected, they are transported to the factory where the magic happens. The first step in the factory is mixing. Large industrial mixers are used to combine all the ingredients into a smooth, uniform liquid. This step is crucial because any inconsistency in mixing could lead to uneven texture or flavor in the final product. Once all the ingredients are mixed together, the next step is pasteurization. This means heating the mixture to about 85 degrees Celsius to kill any harmful bacteria. Pasteurization is really important because it makes sure the ice cream is safe to eat and helps the flavors blend well. But it's a delicate process. If the mixture gets too hot, it can change the flavor. If it's not hot enough, harmful bacteria might survive. After pasteurization, the mixture goes through homogenization, which is the key to making plombier so creamy. Homogenization is where fat molecules are broken down into tiny droplets and spread evenly throughout the mixture. This is done using a machine that applies high pressure to the mix. By doing this, the fat stays evenly mixed in, so the ice cream has a smooth texture with no lumps. If this step isn't done right, the ice cream could end up oily or uneven, which wouldn't taste as good. Once the mixture is homogenized, it's moved to the aging tanks, where it rests and thickens for several hours, usually between 4 to 12 hours. Aging is important because it lets the flavors fully develop and the texture get smoother. During this time, the proteins and fats in the mix work together to make the ice cream creamier. The tanks are kept cool, around 4 degrees Celsius, so the mixture thickens slowly without freezing. This aging process also helps make sure the ice cream will hold up well during freezing. It's a simple step, but it's key to giving plombier its rich, dense texture that people love. After the mixture has aged, it's time for freezing and churning. This is where plombier really starts to take shape. The aged mixture is put into a continuous freezer, a machine that churns and freezes the ice cream at the same time. Churning is important because it adds air to the mixture, which affects how smooth and dense the final product is. For plombier, only a small amount of air is added, which gives it a dense and rich texture. As the ice cream churns, it also freezes. But because it's being stirred constantly, it stays smooth and creamy without forming large ice crystals. The continuous freezer quickly brings the ice cream's temperature down, usually to below -20 degrees Celsius. This rapid freezing is essential to keep the ice cream's smooth texture and prevent any graininess. By the end of this process, the plombier has taken on its final form, but it's not quite ready to eat just yet. Now that the plombier is perfectly frozen and churned, the next step is shaping and filling. Depending on the final product, whether it's a tub, cone, or bar, the ice cream is carefully shaped and packaged. If the plombier is destined to become ice cream bars, the mixture is poured into molds to take shape and then hardened further. For tubs or cones, precise filling machines dispense just the right amount of ice cream into each container. This part of the process is highly automated to ensure everything is done with accuracy and cleanliness. The machines are designed to be incredibly precise, making sure every package has the correct amount of ice cream with no waste. Once filled, the ice cream is quickly sent to a blast freezer to get the final hardening touch. The blast freezer works by blowing super cold air at high speeds over the ice cream, making sure it freezes evenly and quickly. Once a plombier has hardened, it's ready for packaging. The packaging process is also fully automated to make sure it's done efficiently and hygienically. The ice cream is moved along conveyor belts, going through various stages of packaging. For bars, this might mean wrapping them in paper or foil. For tubs, the ice cream is placed in containers, which are then sealed with airtight lids. The packaging is designed to keep the ice cream fresh and protect it during transport. Sealed packages are important because they prevent freezer burn, which can ruin the texture and flavor of the ice cream. Throughout the entire production process, strict quality control measures are in place. At different points along the production line, there are inspection stations to check for any defects or inconsistencies. Advanced technology like X-ray machines and spectroscopy is used to spot any contaminants or irregularities that might not be visible to the naked eye. Each batch is also sampled and tested for texture, flavor, and consistency to make sure it meets the high standards expected of plombier. Only after passing these tests does the ice cream move on to storage and distribution. Once packaged, the Plombier ice cream is stored in cold storage rooms, where the temperature is carefully controlled to keep the ice cream in perfect condition until it's ready to be shipped. These storage rooms are kept at around -25°C to ensure the ice cream remains frozen and fresh. Finally, the ice cream is loaded onto refrigerated trucks for distribution. These trucks are specially designed to maintain the low temperatures needed to keep the ice cream frozen during transport. Transporting frozen goods is a complex task, and these trucks are equipped with GPS and temperature monitors to make sure the ice cream arrives at its destination in the best possible condition. And there you have it, the fascinating journey of how Plombier, one of Russia's most beloved ice creams, is made in a factory. From selecting the best ingredients to the careful processes of mixing, pasteurizing, homogenizing, and freezing, every step is designed to create a rich, creamy, and utterly delicious product. The history of Plombier is as rich as the ice cream itself, evolving from a French dessert into a Russian classic that's loved by generations. The production process blends tradition with modern technology, ensuring that each batch of Plombier meets the highest quality standards. Whether it's in a cone, a tub, or an ice cream bar, Plombier is more than just a dessert. It's a taste of history and a testament to the art of ice cream making. Did you know that chocolate starts its journey inside a football-shaped fruit? Or that transforming bitter cocoa beans into your favorite sweet treat involves a weeks-long process? From ancient rituals to modern-day delights, chocolate has captivated our taste buds and hearts for centuries. This is the truth behind how chocolate is actually made. The journey of this delicious food starts with growing cocoa trees. The cocoa tree, also known as Theobroma cocoa, literally means food of the gods. Not many people know this, but most of the world's cocoa beans come from West Africa. They produce about 70% of the world's supply. These trees are very picky about where they grow. They love warm, shady spots with temperatures around 25°C and lots of humidity, 80% or more. Plus, they need a lot of rain, about 1,800 millimeters each year. Yeah, it's pretty high maintenance. These trees grow football-shaped fruits all over their trunks and branches. When these fruits turn bright yellow or red, it means they're ripe and ready to be picked. This step is super important because it ensures the trees can keep producing more pods. Harvesters like to use machetes, picaroons, and shears to carefully cut the pods from the trees without causing any damage. Since the pods don't all ripen at the same time, harvesters need to know exactly when to pick them. They can tell by the color and even the sound the pods make when tapped. After harvesting, the pods are opened to get the cocoa beans inside. Each pod has 20 to 40 beans wrapped in a sticky white pulp. The beans are sorted, and only the best ones are kept. This step is super important because it affects the quality of the chocolate we end up with. Next up is fermentation, another important step that really brings out the chocolate's flavor. The beans, still covered in their sticky white pulp, which have a thick and tangy flavor, are placed in special fermentation boxes and covered with banana leaves. This process takes about 3 to 9 days. Fermentation is critical because it transforms the natural sugars into the pulp into alcohol and then into acids. This not only kills bacteria and removes the pulp, but also turns the beans into their famous brown color and gives them a rich taste. Large cocoa processors often use tiered fermentation boxes to make sure the beans get enough air and ferment evenly. After fermentation, the beans need to be dried and reduce their moisture content to less than 7%. This is crucial to prevent mold and prepare the beans for shipping and storage. Traditionally, the beans are spread out in the sun on wooden decks to dry for several days. In some humid regions, artificial drying methods using fire or hot air are used to achieve the right moisture level. Drying not only removes moisture but also enhances the flavor of the beans. This process usually takes about 5 to 7 days, during which the beans are regularly turned to ensure they dry evenly. Once the beans are dried, they get a thorough check for impurities and any unwanted debris. Only the best beans move on to the next stage. Bagging. These beans are packed into strong jute or sisal bags, which allow air to circulate and keep moisture away. Each bag weighs about 60 to 70 kilograms, like carrying a small person. The packed beans are then shipped to chocolate manufacturers around the world. Shipping usually happens by boat and can take a couple of months. That's why it's so important for the beans to be very dry to prevent mold during the long journey. It's a slow boat to chocolate heaven, but the wait is worth it. When the beans arrive at the factory, they get a good cleaning to remove any leftover debris, stones, and twigs. Cleaning is crucial to ensure no impurities get into your chocolate bar. The machines use air and vibration to shake off any foreign material, making sure the beans are spotless before moving on to the next step. Before the beans can become chocolate, they must pass a quality inspection. Experts with keen senses perform taste tests to ensure the beans meet high standards. During the inspection, the sample of beans is cut open to check their color and texture. Top quality beans should be a uniform brown without any mold or damage. This step ensures only the best beans move forward in the chocolate making process. Next, we roast the beans. Roasting the cocoa beans is where the magic really starts. The beans go into a gas-heated, air-filled roaster for 30 minutes to 2 hours. This makes them tastier and reduces their moisture from about 7% to just 1%. The roasting time and temperature can change depending on the flavor we want. Light roasts keep the beans' natural acidity and fruity notes like a gentle suntan. Darker roasts bring out deeper, richer flavors. After roasting, it's time to crush the beans. The beans go through a machine called a winnower, which cracks the shells and uses air to separate them from the nibs. Think of it like a big fan blowing away the light shells, leaving the nibs behind. This step is crucial because only the nibs, which have the cocoa solids and butter, are needed to make chocolate. After crushing, the beans are grinded into a paste called chocolate liqueur, aka cocoa mass. Cocoa liqueur is a deep, dark brown color, extremely aromatic with a rich, bitter taste. It can rightfully be thought of as the essence of the bean. It consists of 50% cocoa butter, a tasteless yellow fatty liquid which melts at room temperature, and 50% cocoa solids, what cocoa powder is made of. The penultimate process is called conching. Conching further refines the chocolate mass with continued grinding. It is at this stage in manufacturing where additives like sugar and milk powder get into the chocolate mass. The ingredient amounts can change depending on the type of chocolate we're making, whether it's dark or milk chocolate. It should be noted that white chocolate doesn't contain cocoa liqueur at all and has a different process of manufacturing in comparison to dark or milk chocolate. To make white chocolate, cocoa liqueur is pressed until the cocoa butter is squeezed out, leaving the cocoa cake consisting of cocoa solids and a vat of tasteless cocoa butter. The cocoa butter is then mixed with sugar, milk or milk powder, vanilla. So, fun fact, basically when you eat white chocolate, you don't taste anything related to the cocoa plant. You only taste sugar, milk, and other food additives, as the cocoa solids are not used in white chocolate. But going back to dark and milk chocolate, the process of conching can be as little as a few hours or as long as a few days. During conching, the cocoa solids and sugar particles become so small you can't feel them on your tongue, usually around 20 microns. This step is critical for creating the smooth texture that makes high-quality chocolate so delicious. Tempering is the final step before molding the chocolate. This step involves carefully heating and cooling the chocolate to stabilize the cocoa butter crystals. Proper tempering gives the chocolate a smooth texture, shiny look, and that satisfying snap when you break a piece. If not done right, the chocolate can end up dull and blotchy with a grainy texture. It's like getting a bad haircut. No one wants that. Once tempered, the chocolate is poured into molds to cool and harden. Now that we have the chocolate, it's time to get creative with fillings and decorations. Praline chocolates are made by mixing chocolate with yummy fillings like caramel, nuts, or ganache. These fillings are then coated with a layer of chocolate to form the base. After that, they're decorated with patterns to make them look even more irresistible. Decorating chocolates can involve adding drizzles of contrasting chocolate, sprinkling with edible glitter, or adding intricate designs using molds and stencils. The goal is to create visually stunning chocolates that taste as good as they look. And that's how chocolate is made.